let's start off the show by putting the spotlight then on Mitsu. And you've got Gaurav Burman, who's a member of the Burman family and director of Dabur International, who's acquired a strategic stake in healthcare startup Mitsu, which is a mental health tech startup offering self-therapy programs. Let's connect then with Amit Singh. He's the founder at Mitsu, and he now joins us on the show. Good to have you on board. Tell us a little bit more. I understand that it's been a 7.5% stake. What are the commercials of this deal that you can share with us?
So first of all, Avan, thank you for having me on the show. So like you said, Gaurav has taken a stake in our business. He's been a believer in the business from the very early stage. At this stage, that's all we would say. I mean, his focus in the business is very long term, and he wants to stay invested with a significant stake in the business. So that's what we would say at this stage from a commercial point of view.
So any details in terms of what the valuation was, how much the stake was bought for, that 7.5% stake that you can share with us, and who are some of the other investors as well that participated in this round?
Yes, I can talk about the other investors. At this stage, we've not talked about the valuation, but I can talk of the other investors. We've got other investors in Shivashish and Yuvraj, who are the founders of DMI Finance, very successful entrepreneurs in their own rights. We've also got Harpreet, who is an ex-entrepreneur who basically built Co-Cubes and sold it to Ian Hewitt. So we've got the right set of people backing the business, and I'm hoping that we'll continue to get support from them as well as new investors.
All right, fair enough. So what exactly now is going to be Gaurav's role? Is he going to be a part of the board? Can you tell us a little bit more about whether or not he will be involved in decision making, and what exactly his role is going to be for the company?
Right. So he's joined the board of the business. So he's going to be, working with us every step along the way to help us make those important strategic calls. So like I said, he is a believer in the business from the very early stages. He's been there, and I think that his inputs as we grow and scale is going to be very, very important. He's also extremely, well networked in the investment fraternity. So I think his advice on, when we go out and raise more money in the future would be also very, very helpful. Besides, of course, he comes from Dabur, who are a consumer-facing business, a very successful, generational business. So, I think his insights on how to build a consumer business for us is also going to be very helpful. So yes, we are looking forward to all the mentorship from Gaurav from his experience.
So I wanted to understand, because unlike the conventional in-person therapy, you guys have an app which is accessible 24/7, but it is also 1/3 the cost of in-person therapy. So how exactly do you make money? Take us through how many subscribers you have. What is the repeat rate? Is it a paid-for model? How does the app work?
Yes. So let me first explain how the program really works and what we're trying to do. So like you rightly said, we call ourselves a guided cell therapy program. Now, let me break that down for you. So basically, unlike conventional therapy, where you would normally, set up those hourly sessions a week or every fortnight and have an in-person meeting or with a therapist. In our case, the users work on a very structured 8-week program on their own. So there is a lot of skill building that people do in those 8 weeks. That is what the product does for them. They work through lessons, they work through activities with the idea of building skills that can maintain, mental health for the long term. Now, while they're doing this, they also get continuous support from their therapist, which is available on the app itself through chat or through voice note feature. The idea is that, if you come across a problem in your life, if you want to apply something that you've learned on the application in your daily life and you want a bit of help there, there's no need to wait for your next session. That happens in a typical in-person therapy. You can just message your therapist, send them a voice note, and you will get help straight away. So that's one big change that is there in the application itself. In terms of the model, yes, it is a subscription-based model. So people, any user would buy a subscription when they come on the program for 4,000 rupees. If you compare 8 weeks of therapy cost in person, that would be around 12 to 16,000 rupees. And that was one of the ambitions we had, was to make it more affordable and accessible to a larger segment of population. And the reason we're able to do that is because we don't have in-person therapy, so we're being more efficient with how we use a therapist's time. So he or she is there to help you along the way, guide you, motivate you, answer questions, do an intake call in the beginning. But the amount of time that we spend per user of a therapist is lower, and that's the benefit that we have, which we can also pass on as lower costs.
All right. So take us through a little bit more in terms of your financials, in terms of the kind of subscriber retention you have, the revenue run rate. Are you making money? Are you breaking even?
So, actually, it's too early at this stage. We just launched the application in about 2.5, 3 months back. So at this stage, really, our focus was to work with an early set of users and validate the model. And that's what we're focusing on right now. We've got a significant number of signups. We've got over 2,000 people who've signed up. Not all of them are on the paid program, but a lot of them would move over to the paid program. But more importantly, like I said, our idea was to also validate this way of doing therapy. It's a very new approach in the Indian healthcare system. And so what we're finding is that the whole DIY approach of cell therapy is actually appealing to a lot of users, because a lot of people struggle with finding time in their daily lives to go out and seek therapy. With our application, it's much more convenient. They can work on the application at any time, and they can have a question, they can have a conversation with the therapist. And then people are actually able to see some benefits. So we actually measure that in the program. When users come on the program, we take a very standardized psychometric assessment, which objectively measures their symptoms of anxiety and depression. And we do that after 4 and 8 weeks in the program. And we're seeing that for early users, we're actually making a difference. There's actually a fall in scores, they're feeling much better. And that's really more encouraging and heartening for us. It's really our North Star metric that we want to be able to show that clinically it's a sound program. We can publish the data, and that would actually drive more and more adoption, the fact that people actually benefit from it.
Okay, so just take us through the long-term game plan, the vision for the company. Are you looking at more fundraising rounds, and how do you see Mitsu growing down the line?
Yes, the first frontier really for us, like I said, is to actually show that this is making a difference to individuals. So, we would very closely track, the outcomes that we are able to deliver for our early users. So it's still very early stage, but, in terms of growth, of course, we want to, like I said, we want to build a solution which is scalable, which is affordable to at least 40% of the adult population, because the need is huge, and not everyone needs a very intensive model of care. A lot of people can benefit from these kind of models, which are, remote based, but effective, scientific. So there's a large population that we can work with, but that's the long-term game. Then we really want to work with a larger population, and not just people who are on the program, but, using our social media content outreach to reach out to millions of people, talk about mental health in general, because there's a lot of awareness building that needs to happen. So yeah, it's very early stage for us, but the ambition really is to make this, more and more accessible to the large 40%. And, at some stage, we also want to take this outside India. That's the long-term plan. And to do that, yes, we would go out and raise money. At this stage, we are sufficiently funded for the next few months to basically make sure that we run our experiments, we see we get early data, and then we'll be in the market to basically look at more support for our business.
All right, good to have you on board. Wishing you all the very best. Thanks much for joining in.
Thank you so much, Siobhan. It's a pleasure being on the show.